Joining me now, Lori Thompson, who's the grandmother of Emma Thompson, who was brutally beaten, sexually abused, passed away. Abigail Young, serving time for that. She is up for parole. Andy Kahn, City of Houston crime victims advocate, also joining us this morning. I want to thank you both for your time. And Lori, I certainly want to thank you for coming on with us. I know this is difficult to talk about. I can't believe personally, and I'm sure Andy will concur in a moment, that Abigail Young is up for parole. How does that happen?
Well, of course, we're all trying to struggle with the reality of having received correspondence from the Texas Department of Criminal Justice informing us that the process was going to begin in late February. We were with the understanding and under the impression, of course, that with a 20-year sentence, offenders were typically not eligible for parole for the first 5 years of that sentence. But, of course, we have since learned that with the application for time served and good behavior credits, those were deducted and discounted from the original 5-year eligibility time frame, and it resulted in her being eligible at this point in time just a short 19 months after her trial.
Well, this is unbelievable. Andy, is this typical here in Texas or in Houston that someone that has a 20-year sentence gets out in 2?
Yeah, Matt, the only reason Abigail Young is eligible for parole is because the jury found her guilty of reckless injury to a child. That does not constitute, believe it or not, as being an aggravated offense, meaning by statute, she only has to serve 1/4 of her sentence. And like Lori says, she's also given good time credits. So when you add the good time credits plus what time served, you can easily see how one can get to that 5 years real quickly. Like it or not, she's eligible to be released. And what Lori and I have also discovered, and this is actually even more disturbing, is that she is going to be reviewed for parole every single year. Mm-hmm. Because her conviction is not considered aggravated, meaning the parole board has no discretion in assuming that she does get denied in keeping her in and not reviewing her case for up to 5 years. So, every year, Lori and others are going to have to deal with this.
So, Lori, what can you do? What can members of the family do? Is there anything that members of the community can do? I personally never want this woman to see the light of day.
Well, I thank you for asking about that. We actually, in the text of the letter we received, were invited to make this information known to family, friends, neighbors, members of the community, so that if there was opposition, if there were folks who were opposed to the eligibility of parole for Abigail Young, they were invited and encouraged to submit their letters protesting and opposing this particular eligibility at this time. That information can actually be found on a Facebook page that was set up as a memorial to Emma Thompson by her aunt, Amanda Matthews, and that Facebook page is Justice for Emma Thompson. And the letter that we received was dated February 21st. We received it actually on February 27th, and we were told that we had 30 days from the date of that letter to make our responses to the Texas Department of Criminal Justice and the Parole Board. And so I would encourage any listeners who are interested in combining their efforts with ours to visit that Facebook page, Justice for Emma Thompson, where they can find the email address and they can find the fax number where they could easily fax or email their letters as late as today or tomorrow.
All right, very good. Lori and Andy, hang on for me. When we come back, let's talk a little bit about Emma so people understand a little more about this beautiful child that we lost. Lori, just quickly, tell us a little something about Emma, if you would. I look at these pictures and that cherub face that she has and her beautiful red hair. What a gorgeous young girl.
Well, she was certainly a delight. She was the apple of her daddy's eye, and we miss Emma every day, as you might imagine. She had a smile that would light up the room when she walked in, and she loved to dance to Hannah Montana. She loved Dora the Explorer. Her favorite flavor ice cream was strawberry, and she loved rainbow sherbet. She loved sticker books and coloring, and she was only 11 months old, and she could recite practically the entire alphabet. She was a bright little girl, had a great propensity for love and give hugs for no reason, just because she loved to hug people. And she loved musicals. She loved to sing along with the sound of music, and her sisters loved her dearly. She was the baby of the family.
Andy, Lori, thank you. And Andy, just we've got to begin to take action and show as a city that we do not want this woman to see the light of day. We have got to respond. Correct?
You're absolutely correct, Matt. And one of the mottos of the Parole Board is parole should only be in the best interest of society. And as you've heard today, we're asking society to speak loudly and clearly in keeping Abigail Young where she belongs, and that's in prison.
And Andy, I couldn't agree more. Lori, I want to thank you. I know it's difficult talking, and I know you had to think about it long and hard before you came on. I'm glad you agreed. Andy, it's always good to have you on, and you know that you have our support here at KTRH. We will continue to do everything we can to make sure she stays behind bars. Thank you, Lori. Thank you, Andy, again for your time this morning.
You bet.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having us on.